All right, now we're going to have a discussion about outliers. Outliers are data points that are far away from the rest of the data. Now, you can kind of look at a data set and kind of just shoot from the hip and see if something looks like an outlier. Or you can have kind of a more uh, scientific approach, or statistical approach, should I say. So the first thing we do when trying to look for outliers is we look for the interquartile range, which is Q3 minus Q1. And then when we have the interquartile range, what we do is we take 1.5 times that and see how that fits above the third quartile and below the first quartile. So what this means is if I have a box plot, and say this data point out here you think might be an outlier. So what you do is you measure your interquartile range. That's the distance between Q3 minus Q1. Now if that distance is this, we want to look at 1.5 times that. So that's about that distance. So we take that distance and you put it at the end of Q3 and we put it at the beginning of Q1 and you see if any points are outside that range. So out here, you can see there's no outliers. But if we go to the other side, it definitely looks like there's at least one outlier in this data set. Now you can't tell how many outliers are here. There might be 3 out here. There might just be 1. It's hard to tell unless we have the actual data. So let's look at some data and see if we can find any outliers. So let's first find the 5-number summary in the IQR and then see if there's any outliers for the males. So the males are on this side. So remember when you're reading a back-to-back stem plot, this is 20, 25, 27, 28, and so on. Now, the first step is to count up the observations, 5, 10, 11, 13, 15. So 15 observations. So if I take 15 divided by 2, that's going to be 7.5. So if I count out to the 7th observation, then there must be 7 on the other side, and 34 is going to be our median. We have our minimum and our maximum clearly defined. Now, if there's 7 data points on this front, divide 7 by 2 and you get 3.5. So 3.5, and so there's 3 over here. And now we go 3.5 the other way, 1, 2, 3. And 50 is our data point there. So our 5-number summary is 20, 27, 34, 50, and 85. So now we look at this. Our interquartile range is 50 minus 27. So our interquartile range is 23. So now if I do 1.5 times that, 1.5 times 23, I get an answer of 34.5. Now, if I subtract 34.5 from 27, it's going to be a negative number, and we don't have any values down there. If I add 34.5 to 50, I get 84.5. So uh, we have to look, and are there any data points greater than 84.5? Yes, 85. So we know 85 is an outlier. All right. Now look at this data set and see if you can find outliers for yourself.